The sun drifted low across the desert horizon, stretching long shadows over the abandoned trading post where Caleb Rowan waited. The place was quiet enough to hear distant hoofbeats that weren't even there yet. Caleb wasn't used to being unsure, but today he felt it in his bones. Days earlier, a messenger had delivered a short note asking him to be at this spot before sundown, saying someone important would arrive. No explanation, no signature, just a request, and Caleb was the kind of man who respected a call for help, even when it came without details. He leaned against a post, brushing dust from his hat, wondering if he'd been fooled or misled. The desert wind carried no hint of answers. Then at last, the faint thrum of horses grew steady. A group of Apache riders appeared, moving in a measured, unified line. They stopped a few yards away, and from the center stepped Ayanna, a respected scout and decision-maker among her people. Caleb had heard of her sharp eye for danger, her calm voice during tense negotiations, her loyalty to her community. He straightened instinctively, uncertain of what business she had with him. Ayanna dismounted with fluid confidence and approached him without hesitation. Her expression held no hostility, only certainty. She spoke before he could greet her. "It's not a mistake," she said, her voice carrying clearly in the quiet air. "I'm yours." Caleb blinked, startled. Her words felt too direct, too heavy. "Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding," he managed. "I don't take claim of anyone." She shook her head, lifting her chin slightly, her meaning sharper than the words themselves. "Not claim. Not ownership, choice. I stand here because I chose this path. Last winter, when sickness spread and supplies disappeared in the storms, you brought help without being asked. You treated our people as equals. That is why I am here. My people honor those who honor us." Her riders remained behind her, silent, watchful, trusting her judgment completely. Caleb felt the weight of her trust settle onto him, unexpected and humbling. Ayanna's decision was not about allegiance to him as a man, but about forming an alliance built from respect, responsibility, and shared values. He answered carefully, "If you've chosen to stand here, then I give you my word I'll respect that choice. And I'll earn it every day." Ayanna's expression softened by barely a fraction. The decision had been made. Two paths from different worlds had aligned, not by accident but by intention, and the first steps toward a new partnership began in the quiet glow of the desert evening. In the weeks that followed Ayanna's unexpected declaration, life on the ranch shifted in small but undeniable ways. She wasn't a guest, nor did she carry herself like someone testing unfamiliar ground. Instead, she moved with quiet confidence, observing everything, how the ranch hands worked, how disputes were settled, how decisions were made when cattle strayed or weather turned uncertain. Caleb noticed she never interrupted or pushed herself into a task. She simply watched until she understood the rhythm of the place, then stepped in where she was needed without hesitation. Her presence made the workers straighten their backs a little more, speak with more care, and rethink choices before acting too quickly. One morning, she rode out with Caleb to inspect the far pastures. The land stretched open and unbroken for miles, the grass rippling like water under the wind. Ayanna pointed out old trails she recognized, hidden springs he never knew existed, and markers in the terrain Caleb would have missed if he rode the land for another 10 years. Her knowledge transformed what he thought he understood about the territory. Caleb didn't say much, but he felt the shift. Her guidance wasn't an intrusion. It was a strengthening of what they could accomplish together. The real test came unexpectedly, one late afternoon when the sky darkened without warning. A dust storm rose fast, swallowing the horizon. Horses panicked and workers scattered in confusion. Caleb shouted orders, but the wind tore his voice away. The air turned thick with swirling grit, and for a moment he feared someone would get lost or hurt. Then through the chaos, he saw Ayanna riding hard along the storm's edge, using sharp hand signals and short whistles to gather the scattered ranch hands. She moved with precision, guiding 2 young riders to shelter when they had nearly ridden blind into a ravine. Her calm in the storm steadied everyone around her. When the winds finally eased and the ranch settled again, Caleb found her adjusting her saddle, straps as if she hadn't just saved half his crew. "You could have stayed back," he said, his voice rough with gratitude. Ayana brushed dust from her shoulder. "A partnership is proven when the wind rises," she replied, "not when the sky is clear." Her words dug deep, truer than anything said that day. Trust wasn't built on promises. It was forged in moments like this, when fear tested a person's character. And as Caleb watched her walk away to check on the horses, he understood something. Ayana wasn't simply standing beside him. She was strengthening everything the ranch depended on, one steady decision at a time. By the time the season shifted and the days grew warmer, a quiet unease began spreading across the region. It started as whispers in nearby settlements, small, twisted versions of the truth. Outsiders claimed Ayana had been forced into some kind of arrangement, that Caleb had taken her without her agreement, that she was being kept as a promised bride. Each retelling changed a detail, sharpening the lie, turning something built on trust into something distorted and dangerous. Caleb heard the murmurs during supply trips, felt the suspicious eyes on him, and saw the way people leaned closer when his name and Ayana's were mentioned together. He was angry, but anger alone couldn't fix anything. He believed the truth would eventually rise on its own. Ayana, however, recognized the risk far earlier. False stories weren't just insults. They carried the power to break peace between communities. So she made a decision. She sent riders to call for a gathering at the river bend, a neutral ground known to both the ranch families and her own people. By late afternoon, the area filled with ranch workers, settlers from nearby towns, and Apache families who came to hear what had sparked so much talk. Caleb stood at the edge of the crowd, tense but silent, willing to follow Ayana's lead. When she stepped forward, the murmuring stopped instantly. She stood with the same calm certainty she had shown the first day she arrived at the trading post. But now her voice carried farther, stronger. "There is a story being told," she said, looking from one group to another. "A story that I was taken, that I was traded, that I was given away." She paused long enough to let the weight of the rumors settle. "None of that is true." Her tone never wavered as she continued. "I came by choice, not as a bride exchanged or a woman claimed. I came as a leader, forming an alliance built on respect. When I said, 'It's not a mistake, I'm yours,' I meant partnership. I meant commitment to a shared future. I'm no one's possession." The silence that followed was sharp and humbling. Caleb stepped forward then, not to defend himself, but to reinforce her truth. "I never asked for more than her trust," he said, "and I aim to earn it every day. No rumors will change that." The crowd slowly shifted from suspicion to understanding. The tension eased. What had been a dangerous misunderstanding became clarity, shaped by honesty instead of fear. As the gathering dispersed, Ayana and Caleb exchanged a brief, steady look, one that acknowledged the challenge they had faced and the future they now protected together. Their partnership, tested by lies, had only grown stronger.